Hello, everybody.
Welcome back.
WB bitches.
We're gonna talk some hard statistics and facts.
Oh, snap. Let me open up my freaking Microsoft calculator.
my Excel spreadsheets. Don't joke. People like those exist for these kind of games.
I don't judge. I don't judge. Like, if that's how you game, that's how you game. I understand. Like, I don't wear pants. That's how I game.
So just as a follow-up from the last video where we talked about production and recruiting and deployment, you might notice that our manpower has gone down because we've assigned like 9,000 men practically for each of those 5 divisions we were making.
Right.
If I cancel them really fast, our manpower is going to go back up, right? Because suddenly we've told them, never mind.
And where are we seeing that?
So manpower is up there on the top. That 58.9K.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
So like you can watch it go down as I
Oh, snap.
just told it to train a bunch more people. But okay, so go back to
one question.
Yes.
Should it be person power, or can we still be misogynistic since this is
it's
like
a
World War
historical
II?
game. Yeah, so it's still manpower.
Awesome. I love that.
I believe Russia does have a national focus to where is it? Hang on. This is completely not what we're going to talk about, but it's so fun to me.
I am like the king of sidetracking.
Yeah. Where is it? It's in one of their focuses. Anyway, it's to let women fly planes. Oh yeah, women in aviation. So, women in your country are allowed to become military pilots.
That's awesome.
So I would assume that would raise their manpower or like lower the manpower cost for building planes or something for them, right?
Right.
Like, okay. So anyway,
I like that it's a woman's skull that's on that thing.
How can you tell?
I watch a lot of Bones.
That may be the creepiest thing you've ever said in your life.
You can tell by like the occipital bones and the cheek structure.
My hobby is skulls.
I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to sidetrack us, but holy shit.
You're on an episode of CSI, I'm sure.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed.
Alright, so go back to the recruit and deploy screen.
Okay.
So let's click edit our infantry division.
Okay.
And boom. We see the division designer, right?
Okay. How big is a division?
So a division is each what's the word? Each of these columns is a regiment, and each of the things in the column is a battalion. So this infantry division is 9 infantry battalions. It is made up of 9,300 men in total. Because each of these takes like 1,000 men, basically. Okay. It also has an engineer company attached to it. You can see over there on the support side, right? And that engineer company is 300 extra men.
Right.
And it gives them a lot of bonuses to like crossing rivers and things like that. Like engineer companies are
sappers, dude.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Well, actually, they're kind of dumb, but they're fucking useful as shit. Don't get me wrong, Mild First Sergeant was a fucking engineer. He was a cool cat. Freaking awesome man. But man, kind of like a box of rocks. Could do his job though, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's all that matters, right?
Yep.
So we can click on the division equipment button, and we can actually tell them...
Where's that?
This division, right there on the top.
Oh, okay.
We can actually tell them if we want to, like... You're not going to use the infantry equipment 1, you're just going to use the basic infantry equipment. Or you could say, like, I only want this division to be equipped with the best things I have, so you could, like, unselect certain things, right?
Right.
Most of the time, though, you're probably not going to mess with that. Then you can rename it right over there. The up and down arrows are to change the priority. So if we wanted to, like, if we were making a Marine division, we could say, like, you are high priority and you will get the new stuff first, basically.
Right, right.
You get reinforcements first. You get, like, if we make a new gun, you get the guns before anyone else, right? You're
so
higher
it's like
priority
your
for that.
special forces versus just your backfill scrubs.
Right. So, like, this is our basic infantry division. Like, yeah, the default. It doesn't matter. We can change the symbol, right? To whatever we want, basically. Which is cool because you can change it to, like, a unicorn. Or a rainbow. Or...
back when the rainbows just meant rainbow.
You hater.
No, I'm not a hater. That shit's hilarious, though.
And so each of the plus buttons, we can choose to add new things. However, because we've started to make a these 3 columns are already infantry regiments, right? We can't add tanks to those regiments. We have to create a new regiment and add a new tank battalion.
Right, because I can do. Because if you tried to add tanks to your infantry, then all your commanders of the higher command wouldn't know what the fuck to do with all those tanks.
Well, so here's the thing. So if we did this, and if you scroll back into, like, the London area and look, all of our little infantry divisions here would come with a single battalion of tanks. They just wouldn't be primarily a tank division.
Right.
So you can mix and match some. You just have to keep in mind that now this light tank is only going to be able to move at 4 kilometers an hour because it's got to stick with the infantry, right? So you don't often want to do this because, like, unless you're putting, like, a heavy tank destroyer or something just to support the infantry. But, like, no, we don't want a freaking light tank. Light tanks are for moving fast. Infantry doesn't move fast, right?
Right.
You'll also notice if I do that again, it's going to cost us 25 army experience to actually save this template.
Okay.
We don't have the army experience. We can't do it. Also, because we're editing a division that we already have a whole bunch of in the field, as soon as I do this, they will all be changed to this template. So they'll all say, like, hey, we need tanks now. We like you've changed us to be like this division with a little bit of a tank, and we need it. Like, if I also, for example, go over here and add support artillery, like I just did, it's a bit cheaper. It only costs us 10, but now they're all going to need artillery, right?
Right.
So you can also, there are 2 things of artillery you can do. So you could add an entire artillery battalion to one of these regiments if you wanted to. Or you can just have support artillery, or you can have both. It doesn't matter.
Nice.
And artillery is amazing. So it's really good to have. We'll sort of talk about, like, here, we'll do this now. So, yeah. We're going to reset back to normal. We're not going to change anything. I want to talk a little bit about the stats. 2 things. I'm not going to go over all of them, just the sort of important ones. And I'm also not entirely sure what they all mean.
Okay, where are we at again?
Division Designer, see all the stats, base stats, combat stats, equipment costs. Just for our basic infantry division.
Oh, shit, I lost it again.
So recruit and deploy, and then go see the template side and click edit on the infantry division.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're discussing the stats.
Yeah.
The base stats, combat stats, equipment costs. Okay.
So on the far right, you can just see it takes 9,300 men. It takes 120 days to train. It needs this much equipment, right? Boom.
Right.
On the left side, we can see it can only move maximum at 4 kilometers an hour. Not very fast. It could take them a day to travel over a single mountain province, right?
Right.
HP is HP. It's the strength of a unit. I'm not going to go into huge things about how, like, the huge RPG system that works behind the scenes whenever people attack each other. Organization is its morale, and sort of, like, it can lose organization by, like, traveling over sea or traveling quickly and things like that.
Right. So that, that's like Yeah, so if you move too fast or too far ahead or whatever, and then shit gets all sideways, your people can't talk like they need to talk, and so it gets all fucked up. Right on.
And if they lose supply, they lose organization until they're down to like no organization,
right.
And they basically retreat from battles immediately, right? Because they have like no, unless they're cut off like completely. Recovery rate is just how fast they get that organization back, so they get back that much per hour. Reconnaissance is how good they are at picking the right tactic, and currently this one has 0 reconnaissance, and we have a recon company. Now it's got actual reconnaissance, right?
Right.
Because I just told, I have a recon company. Recon companies are amazing, and you should always have them in your because suppression is how much it suppresses resistance. The weight is how much it needs, how many convoys it needs. I don't think it's a direct one-to-one conversion, but tanks weigh more and need more convoys, right?
Right.
Same with supply use, right? It uses this much supplies. Obviously, the more things you add to it, the more supplies it's going to use. Reliability, this doesn't matter for them because reliability is for like tank things can sometimes just suffer attrition constantly, basically. Because tanks just break down, right?
Right.
So, infantrymen don't just really break down, really, right? So trickleback is how many times if a man gets killed, the percentage of trickleback is if it gets returned to your manpower pool. So things like we can't add the med support, but the medic company will raise that trickleback rate, right, and save casualties and put them back in your manpower pool, basically. So if you're playing a country with not much manpower, those medic companies become extremely important.
Right, because your manpower that you have is extremely valuable. Right.
XP loss is either a plus or negative. So this unit loses experience as men get killed, and certain things can change, like it'll lose less experience or more experience, and so on and so forth. Soft attack and hard attack are very important. Soft things are people, hard things are tanks. This unit is much better at killing people than it is at killing tanks, right?
Okay, so this isn't like traditional civilian targets versus military targets. This is types of military targets. Soft military, hard military.
Right. This is what's the word? So infantry, cavalry, and motorized have higher softness than they have hardness, right?
Right.
And this this unit is made up of just infantry that are carrying some Piats or some bazookas and type shit, right? So they have a little bit of hard attack, but not much.
Right.
They can't attack the air at all, so they don't have any anti-air companies or anything in them. Defense is how good they are, obviously, at defending. It's like every attack that hits them, they get they get 233 rolls to avoid an attack. Each attack takes down that number by 1, basically, and then when they run out, they start taking damage. Breakthrough is your offensive defense. So when they attack, they take more damage than when they defend, which makes sense. They're infantry. If they're defending, they're sitting behind sandbags and shit, right? If they're attacking, they got to run across the open ground and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They have no armor. They have 4 piercing, which is compared to the enemy's armor. So if there's a tank, but if they're fighting tanks and the tanks have 6 armor, these guys don't have enough to be effective at killing that tank, right?
Right.
And that tank will get an advantage in combat and do more damage and more organization damage because the infantry can't hurt them. Do we have? Yeah. So if I add a little bit of artillery, it raises the piercing a little bit. Anti-tank will do way more, right? Right. Initiative is just how quickly it reinforces and gets planning done. Entrenchment is how well it can just prepare before a fight and dig in. So like if you stop a unit from moving, it starts to dig in, basically.
Right.
And the engineer company, for example, raises the entrenchment by 5. So without the engineer company, these guys don't entrench very well at all. Combat width is important, and it's very interesting. So whenever you get into a fight, only a certain amount of troops can fight each other head to head at once.
Right.
And that's based on like the terrain and how many directions you can attack from. So like if you mouse over combat width, it gives you a little bit of an example, right?
Right.
If combat has a width of 80, you can fit 4 divisions with a total width of 20 in it, right? Anything extra gets pushed to the reserves, and if a unit that's in the fight essentially retreats, then a reserve unit has a chance to move in, right, and reinforce, right, and take over.
So that makes land strategic when you're fighting.
Yes, attacking from multiple directions is really good, and you know, using, and also terrain matters. For example, if like let's look down to the river. They get, so you see all these little adjusters down here?
Where are we looking?
Same section in the little pictures, little circle picture thingies.
Oh, yeah. Adjusters.
So these are all the, like, so they all get faster movement in the forest because of their engineer company, right?
Right.
They get faster movement across the marsh because of the engineer company. They get an attack bonus against forts because of their engineer company.
Right.
And terrain really matters because it's not shown here, but they get a 25% defense bonus basically almost everywhere from their engineer company, I believe. Yeah. But also, if you were attacking across a river, that's a huge penalty to your side, right?
Right.
So a lot of times you'll see front lines forming along rivers because it's really easy to hold. Like if you scroll over to Denmark,
right.
Denmark.
Okay.
Denmark has a big river in between them and Germany down there on the skinny part, right?
Uh-huh.
I held with just infantry divisions. Like, the Germans were throwing fucking panzers at me, and I was driving them back with, like, no losses because they had to cross this huge river to get to me and couldn't really do shit about it, basically. So, these terrain modifiers are really important because certain things, like Marines, for example, have a built-in bonus for river and amphibious landings, right?
Right.
Mountaineers have a built-in bonus for hills and mountains, obviously. The little bar with the tank and the hat is a measure of how hard this unit is, and this unit is 100% soft, right?
Right.
It has 0 armor in it. So tanks actually won't do that much casualties to them because their guns don't kill infantry that fast, but they will break the organization of this unit faster. Whereas if you had a whole bunch of things that were just like one infantry division and a whole bunch of anti-tank guns or something,
right,
it actually wouldn't do that well against this unit because its hard attack would be way more than its soft attack, basically.
Right.
And that's basically it for the division designer. It's really important to like continue to spend your experience and like add things like, you know, recon companies, for example. In fact, if I was playing this game right now, as soon as I possibly could, I would add a recon company to my basic infantry divisions because it makes them better.
Well, that's what I'm looking through right now is the tank brigades, the cavalry brigades.
Yes, and also, so you'll notice you can't actually tell it to make a new template. However, you can take the infantry division if you want to, for example. You can duplicate it. You can save it for free, and then you can go and you can edit it down, basically. Although it costs you points to edit it, I think. When you make a new type of thing, so like if we researched mechanized, for example, it would give us a free basic template already created for that. Does that make sense?
Right.
I think if you moved up to medium tanks, it would give you a free medium tank template. I'm not sure. The technologies that do that say so, basically.
Right. So this Colonial Garrison, this is what we've got stationed in our colonies, right? And that's why they're reserves?
Yeah. And you'll notice it's 3,000 less men with no support companies, right?
Right. Yeah, because they're just stationed there, maintaining the peace or whatever.
Yeah. And like Cavalry Brigade, you would probably edit this to like take away the recon company and become your MP company, right? Because cavalry is kind of shitty, to be honest.
Does it not have better move speed? Where's the movement?
It is, yeah, it is faster. It's the first thing. Yeah, but it doesn't actually have that much attack. It doesn't actually have what's the other thing it needs? It's still soft, just like infantry.
Right.
And it takes actually, hold on. If I do this, yeah, even if I add an engineer company to it, it's still taking penalties on certain things, on certain of its adjusters for terrain.
Right, but you would use it if you use it as a fast recon as opposed to a fighting force.
Yeah, you could if you were a country that could not afford motorized or anything. Like you could.
Right.
But I think if I edit or how fast is motorized? I don't know. Motorized is just as fast as cavalry, I think.
Right on.
And it's just better, basically. So there you go. There's the designer. It's really important. Let's go really quickly. I'll talk about this real quick. Let's go. How do I do this? Ah, here we go. So go back to the production screen where we have all of our stuff, right?
Let me find it. There it is. Okay.
Click on the light tank, the Vickers 2.
Okay.
And you see that little create variant button by it?
Uh-huh.
This is where we would spend army experience as well. So we could say, I want a variant that's got more armor and blah blah, or more engines or whatever.
Right.
And that's really fucking expensive, and it takes a whole lot. Then if you go down to the planes, like let's do the interwar fighter, the gladiator, and do the same thing. This is what you spend air experience on.
Okay.
To create these variants, so you can, like, you know, and the same with ships, obviously, right? You spend, but you can see army experience is way more important because you spend it on more stuff, because you need it not only for your tank variants and your plane variants, or not the plane variants, excuse me, but you need it to design all of your divisions. Whereas with air experience, all you're going to do with it is create variants of planes, and same with naval experience.
Right.
So army experience is really important. However, you do tend to get more of it as well because you gain it just as you fight, right?
Right.
Cool, cool.
So it behooves you to make your own, like, a defensive. So like, if we're playing this game, right, we set up a defensive division that does like subs and freaking AA, and we put them out in the waters around the UK, right?
What kind of thing? Like a plane? Or
well,
what are you
like, so we're building a destroyer, we're building ships, and we put subdetection on them, and we put AA on them, right? And they're basically stationed as a defense. Then we build another what are the ships? Another fleet that would be like HK fleet, hunter killer fleet, right? We just make them fast with a shit ton of torpedoes.
Yeah.
And that would be like
that could be strat, like
right?
your like convoy raiding destroyers if you wanted to, right?
Right.
Or even like screens for bigger ships that are going to be able to avoid the big ship's guns and torpedo them and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. Like those are the things you would do with it. You can also just be like, I just want my heavy cruisers to be better, right? Like. Just make things better all around, basically.
Right.
It's really cool because you can actually spend it to, like, okay, let's say I got like this old school battleship and I don't want to spend the research time, but I can make a variant that's gonna make it a little bit better and give it some more shelf life, right?
Right.
Like, I'm still gonna have to produce one because it doesn't change the ones in the field. That's the important thing to note. Because you're now going to produce the Vickers Mark II instead of the Vickers 1 or whatever, right?
Right.
But you can sort of use it as like, okay, I need my light tanks to be a bit better. I don't have time to do the technology for the next thing. I'll just make a new sort of variant of it. And you can get really in depth. You could do a variant of the Vickers that's all about speed and only assign it to certain units and tell the rest of your tank units not to use that that variant of Vickers, right?
Right.
And just have this one like super fast fucking speed demon division that can zip around and stuff. Yeah. Cool. There you go.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap this one up.
All right. And then next time we'll do some actual command stuff, like look at like movement and things like that, and figuring out groups and stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, dude. This has been fun.
No worries. See you guys next time.
Peace.